Now, let us consider the two pramanas that Dharmakirti accepts, namely perception and inference. We have seen that a person deals with particulars both in his experience and practice, and that he knows about them through pramana. This pramana or knowledge is basically of two kinds according to Dharmakirti, pratyaksha and anumana. Pratyaksha is a direct cognition of a particular. Anumana on the other hand is the direct cognition of a universal. For example, when we perceive a smoke particular on the mountain, judge it to be smoke and infer that there is fire, we do not cognize at that time the particular fire which exists there. We infer the existence of a fire, not the fire. So, we cognize a universal fire, but the universal fire is, as we have seen, not real according to Dharmakirti. Now, one may think that inferential cognition, being a cognition of an unreal object, would be inauthentic and therefore not a pramana. Dharmakirti, however, gives inference the status of a pramana, because for him even inference is indirectly concerned with a particular. The inference of fire enables us to approach the real particular fire, and it is this power of inference that makes inference a pramana. So, Dharmakirti seems to contend that though the direct object of inference is a samanya lakshana, that is a universal, the ultimate object of the inference and of all knowledge for that matter is swalakshana. Like inference, judgmental cognition, that is savikalpaka jnana, which immediately follows pratyaksha, too has samanya lakshana, that is something characterized by a universal as its object. But there is a difference between the two, that is inferential cognition and judgmental perception. A judgmental perception judges or determines an already experienced particular with the help of a universal. So, it is repetitive in nature and hence is not regarded as pramana. Inference on the other hand judges or determines a new particular with the help of a universal. It presents a new object and hence is regarded as a pramana. It can be seen from the foregoing discussion that Dharmakirti's ontology and epistemology do not match with each other perfectly. In reality, there is only one kind of entity, that is swalakshana, unique particular, whereas the knowledge through which we reach them is of two kinds, perception and inference, out of which only one kind of knowledge reaches the reality directly, that is perception. This heterogeneous relation between knowledge and reality is made manageable by Dharmakirti by the concept of swabhava. Things are ultimately unique particulars, they present themselves, that is their nature, that is their swabhava to us in two ways. The nature that we directly apprehend or grasp, that is grahya swabhava, and the nature that we determine, that is adhyavaseya swabhava. It is interesting to see how the concept of swabhava operates in Dharmakirti's ontology and epistemology. Now, we will see the role of the concept of swabhava in Dharmakirti's ontology and epistemology. For Dharmakirti, reality in its ultimate sense, that is paramartha sat, is swalakshana. Here swalakshana means something which is by its very nature unique. This means that everything real is what it is and does not share anything with anything else. Here the concept of swabhava is applied to ontology. Although unique particulars do not share any common properties with anything else, when we determine their nature in thought and talk about them, we do so in terms of their common properties, which are merely mental constructs that we happen to impose upon them. Thus, in judgmental perception, inference and linguistic presentations, we are dealing with objects as they are identified or determined by universals. But what is the function of these universals? It is ultimately to determine the own nature, that is swabhava of the objects. Dharmakirti observes, because all objects by their own nature have fixed essences and are excluded from other things of their kind and from those of other kinds, therefore, the different universals are constructed depending upon the objects from which the things under consideration are to be excluded. In this way, the notion of swabhava, primarily applicable to things, could be extended to classes of things. In other words, when we are dealing with a unique particular, we are dealing with its nature, that is swabhava, which is excluded from the nature of similar as well as dissimilar objects. Sajatiya, vijatiya, vyavrutta. When on the other hand we are dealing with samanya lakshana, we are dealing with the nature, that is swabhava of the object, which is excluded from dissimilar objects only. This is how the notion of swabhava becomes immediately associated with the theory of exclusion, that is apoha. Dharmakirti also explains the nature and types of inference in terms of swabhava. Through an inference, we come to know one thing on the basis of our knowledge of another thing, or we come to know an aspect of the thing on the basis of our knowledge of another aspect of the same thing. This becomes possible when there is a necessary relation between what we come to know, that is probandum, and that on the basis of which, on the basis of the knowledge of which we come to know that is probans. This necessary relation becomes necessary if it is essential, that is, if it is rooted in the essences, that is swabhava of things. In the Hetu Bindu, Dharmakirti classifies Hetu, that is probans, into three kinds: swabhava, karya and anupalabdhi, and shows how the necessary relation of pervasion, that is vyapti, involved in inferences based on these hetus is explainable in terms of swabhava, that is how vyapti should be based on swabhava pratibandha, naturally binding relation. So, let us consider inference from swabhava hetu. According to Dharmakirti, the swabhava of a thing is uniform. It is not divisible into parts, but it may have many aspects which can be specified with the help of universals. Some of these aspects are necessarily related to each other in such a way that one is pervaded by another, that is vyapta by another. This simply means that the rule of the form, wherever there is one aspect, that is vyapta aspect, pervaded aspect, there is the other aspect, namely vyapaka aspect, pervading aspect. In such cases, the pervading aspect can be inferred from the pervaded aspect. For instance, let us consider the inference: the pot is real and whatever is real is impermanent, therefore, the pot is impermanent. Here, realness and impermanence are the two aspects of the uniform self nature of real things, such that realness is pervaded by impermanence. Now, let us come to inference from karya hetu, that is effect as probans. The thing has a particular nature of its own. Now, how does this particular nature come about? It comes about due to the particular nature of its cause. One could say, for instance, that a smoke is what it is because of the particular nature of its cause, that is fire. So, if there is smoke on the mountain, there must be fire. In this way, the inference of a cause from its effect can also be explained in terms of the own nature of things. Now, the third type of hetu, that is anupalabdhi hetu. Let us consider how the concept of swabhava is relevant in the case of inference from anupalabdhi hetu. The self nature of a thing has two aspects. It determines what the thing is and also what it is not. To understand the own nature of a thing is to understand both of these aspects. To understand what the thing is not, that is, to understand a negative fact about a thing, is to understand the otherness, that is, mutual absence, something like anyonya bhava in Nyaya terminology of the thing from all other things. A negative fact in this way is reducible to otherness, which in turn is an aspect of the swabhava of a thing. This negative aspect of the swabhava should be known or could be known directly through perception or indirectly through inference by an anupalabdhi hetu. In this way, an inference based on an anupalabdhi hetu can be explained in terms of swabhava. Thanks for being with us.